I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription for Your Transformation, real people, real conversations, and real success. And as always, I need to click on all the right links so that we can get live on all the platforms that I go live on drrademaker.com, on Prescription for Your Transformation, as well as my own page. And so I'm doing all of this always solo, so it's kind of fun when it doesn't work. Then I have no clue what to do. So anyhow, and it's about not having a clue what to do, when it comes down to our own health. And one of my own personal missions in this world today is making wellness a must and accessible to all. And I'm understanding, first of all, is how to structure it so that people make that part of their life, making a must, but there has to be a part beforehand. And so that's, in essence, the Mind platform here is discovering how is it that we can support all those people that need the help for their own personal healing. Because healing can happen in so many different ways. And there's such a misconception about wellness, about healing. How does it work? What can you do? What you can't do? And so one of the coolest things that I get to do is meet these incredible luminaries, these incredible people out there that have the courage to step away from traditional medicine and not denying it, not criticizing it, but realizing, yes, traditional medicine has its place as well as other things. And those other things come in many shapes and forms and terms and language, but there's a lot of truth in the experimentation, if you will, over thousands of years. And I like to put it that way because so many people have tried so many different things in so many different cultures over millennia, and quite frankly have come up with some very smart solutions because they didn't have the technology that we have today, but we're also very effective in helping people heal. And so I'm delighted to be introducing Hasna Wood. She's an amazing healer, and she has dabbled in both traditions, the traditional type of medicine as well as the alternative or oriental, or however you want to call it, soul healing. And so I'm excited to be talking to you today, Hasna. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity. I'm really excited to help even more people.
So what struck me about what you shared with me, and my question is always, give me 3 key points or key messages. And I love the one that you shared, the first one that you shared with me. So go ahead and share that again with us and give us some background as to, why this is true.
Great. Good question. Healing doesn't have to take that long. Well, I've been on a quest for health, personal health, and everything that I learned for myself, I bring to others. And that's where it actually began. My own personal, with my family and with my own individual self. And the longer I'm learning about what health is, what wellness is, what vitality is, and the more places that I'm going to learn and the more people I'm going to learn from, the quicker the healing is happening with my clients and myself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And so depends why you come in. You may come in for a physical malady. People come in for coaching. People come in for spiritual healing. And that's just the gateway in to make all kinds of changes. And there's a lot you can do mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically that can change your health in moments to shorter, to weeks, to days.
Right. So what I like about that statement is because it's the presumption that you can heal. Yes. And way too often, people have this idea that you can't, that you have this condition that's terminable. Is that the right word? But there's an endpoint to that in your life, in essence. And what I think is critically important for all of us to appreciate is that if you look at disease, right, really it's a result of something that happened before that. So it's not the disease itself. In fact, I sometimes would like to think that the disease is the symptom of an imbalance that's happened before. So healing is about correcting that imbalance, wouldn't you say?
That's right. Absolutely. And actually, Chinese medicine is perfect for that, because when you're really a good diagnostician, it doesn't treat the symptom. So when people still will email me or call me and say, "Husband, I have this symptom," even when I've been treating for years for different things. And I'll say, "Well, I really need to see your pulse and tongue and do a proper diagnostic." But things go way back. It's not because we're old. People will come in, "Well, I'm old. My doctor says this is age." I said, "Well, if it was age, then everybody would have it." So it's not age. It's what you did when you were a teen and 20 and 30. It was your diet, what you put in your body, what you thought, everything. And some of these things that we think are out there, like mindset, are chemically based. They're all chemically based. They measure your tears, whether they're sadness or anger or an onion. They all have different chemicals that come out. So those chemicals are clearly going to affect your body. And over long term, being angry or worried, those chemicals in your body constantly are going to make physiological changes. And so there's nothing woo-woo about that at all. It's very grounded. So it does go back. And even though it may have gone back 30 years because of the way Chinese medicine works, or whether you're working with the brain or spiritually, you can actually go in there and change the body's mechanism and let it heal, but you can also work from the symptom back in. And so it works on all the different levels, and you can correct it. And the more people do for themselves with their mindset and their habits, the quicker the healing comes. And there are things that happen like that. I had a woman that had RA, rheumatoid arthritis, in front of me, who was like this, came into me like this. And I had seen her for a while. It took it took some time, but it actually, completely unwound. And she was fine for a while, and we worked on other issues in her body and her mind and her heart, and ended up just coaching her. And she lived a couple hours away, and so she would, I wouldn't see her that often. She'd come in for a tune-up, or, she came back, and I hadn't seen her for a long time. And she came back and she was like this again. I was like, "What happened?" And she was very upset around the holidays, had some emotional upsets, and had some meanings and thoughts. And all we did was some neuro-linguistic programming with her. And literally, I was actually shocked. I'm telling you, I love learning, because I was actually surprised. I thought we'll do it in a couple sessions. But she was like this, and just so much pain. And I said, "Look at your face when you tell me about your pain." We went through a whole series of things. And in one session, her arms dropped. I mean, it takes me a while with acupuncture. I was shocked, because we just got to the meaning that was going on for her, that one meaning that it went back to. We went in there and just pulled that out and completely went. And she had tears and she was crying. And I was like, "Oh, shit." And it was gone. One session, just completely gone. It's amazing.
It truly is amazing that you can do that. And, for anyone who's listening, one thing that's clear about human beings is that we're creatures of meaning. We have to associate some sort of meaning to everything. And unfortunately, as I like to put it, we are victims of what I call misconceptions of youth. Yeah. And in our youth, in our growing years, our developing years, our brains aren't that mature yet, but we're exposed to all sorts of situations, events, and what we sometimes call, in neurolinguistic programming, significant emotional events. And so you make decisions about these things that you then carry throughout your life. And then when you get re-exposed to those, then that does have a physiological impact on you. Right. And so I can absolutely see, how you wonderfully, magically, by some people's description perhaps, reverse this condition on this lady. But that is indeed what is possible. It's not woo-woo, it's not crazy, it's not temporary, it's not transient. It's all real, because you are absolutely right when we think from the perspective that, we're just a bundle of chemical reactions happening very, very, very quickly. That's right. And our thoughts are happening very, very quickly. Yes, they're electrical impulses, but they're all associated with chemical changes. And so all of our cells, in essence, are responding to what I call the environment around us. And so whatever's happening around us, then we're responding to that.
That's right.
So my question for you then, as we're talking about this, is that your second message point, and I love this statement, is that the body can heal itself. So explain that. Explain that perspective and how true that is.
Well, in the words of one of my teachers, Tony Robbins,
Right.
we don't have a Prozac deficiency. One of the reasons that I changed from orthodox medicine into alternative medicine, other than my own health crisis and wanting to know even more, I was told I needed to have a hysterectomy in my mid-20s. And that wasn't an option for me. I wanted to have children. So that was one piece of it. The other piece was I saw people taking pharmaceuticals for emotional mental states, and they were in drug treatment. They needed to be stabilized. And yet I saw them not changing. I knew changes had to be made, that in medication, they would need more medication if they were getting upset. So nothing was changing in their thoughts. And I didn't know anything then. I didn't know anything, but something didn't feel right. And so the body can heal itself. You know, I help people's body to heal themselves. Sometimes it needs help, but it's the difference between treating a symptom and saying, just repress this symptom, and just finding out like what's causing this reflex, like what's happening, what are you thinking, what's going on here, how do we reverse that, how do we strengthen this or turn this around so the body can actually, and I'm not supposed to legally use that word heal, but so the body changes that and no longer has that symptom anymore and can completely balance. And then, you know, and sometimes I do the acupuncture, sometimes it's with an intervention with thought patterns and clearing it out of their system. Sometimes it's clearing someone's auric field or doing a Sufi healing, and then getting people to recognize when it starts happening again and give them tools to clear it themselves. So the body wants to heal. And when the body has a symptom, it's actually taking care of itself. It might be taking care of itself by saying, stop doing that.
Right.
Stop doing that thing, stop eating that thing, don't take something to make it better. That thing is not good for you, or you're eating too much, or stop thinking that thing. But the body talks to us. So we have to listen. And so if we change those things and we listen to that, people can do that themselves. They might not even need me. Eventually, I want that people to go away. I want people to get better and go away and then go serve other people or learn tools from me and then share more and heal their families or their friends or go become a practitioner. Right. So the body knows how to do it.
The beautiful concept that I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, but I imagine that it is that, you know, for many Chinese medical physicians, not necessarily in this country, but back in China, is that they get paid
yes.
as long as you're healthy.
That's right.
And so, and I think that's very relevant because it's making sure that you're doing all the things that maintain a well-balanced machine, if you will, because in essence, that is what we are. Is, you know, what are all those different aspects? You know, whether it's physical, whether it's nutritional, whether it's lifestyle, you know, whether it's mental, emotional, on the soul level, they're all so interrelated that approaching any of these things is going to help. And then, you know, if you get the results, great. And if you're not getting quite the results, then you try something else. You see, I think what happens in traditional medicine, and I have to commend, you know, all those incredible individuals that have tried very, very hard
yes.
To really, you know, heal people, to treat people, to get them to be back to health because of the poor choices those patients have made. But again, limited, of course, with what education has taught them, and understanding that as a humanity, we're evolving over time. But currently, if you look at medicines, just drugs, it's no different than trying to put out a forest fire with just a fire extinguisher. Yeah, it's going to take care of one part, right? But it's not going to take care of a whole. And one thing that I actually learned from Deepak Chopra, I was having a conversation with him once, and he also writes this in his books, is that the most intelligent pharmacy in the world is the one in your own body.
Right.
Your body has the capability of providing all these chemicals, if you will, and the combination of which becomes very effective. And that, in essence, is what you then do, right? With all your different approaches, you're helping the body regain its balances by changing all the different kind of chemicals and by all the approaches that you do.
Absolutely. And the thing about going to the root of the issue is that you don't have side effects if you're diagnostically correct, because you can put 10 migraines in front of me and I might treat them all differently, because I don't treat a migraine, I treat the person. And so they've got a whole body that needs to be balanced that causes that. And so one treatment could make somebody else's worse. That's why when someone says, what do you do for a migraine? I don't treat migraines, I treat people. And the thing about taking care of one symptom in whatever modality you use, if you're just, depending on how you take care of that symptom, the reason it has side effects is other symptoms pop up. I lost you, Dr. Rademaker.
I'm
Okay.
still here, and
Okay, great.
good to see you.
Okay, that's all that matters then, huh? So the thing about the body is, if you suppress this symptom or you think you're taking care of it, often other things pop up because really the underlying situation wasn't really taken care of, which is the body still saying something's still wrong, take care of me, which is why there's side effects. Now, if you do it correctly with the different type of modalities that I use, Oriental medicine, or definitely when you use the brain, there's no side effects. If my treatment doesn't work, we do it again. If the Sufi healing doesn't work, they feel relaxed and calm, and I can do some Chinese medicine. So when you really get down to treating the core, what will happen is when you get to the root of the medicine, I've completely lost all the cameras. I guess they're still up there.
Let's see.
Go
Go ahead.
When you get to the core of it, people balance out in other ways. They might come in for their allergies and their libido is getting better. Even though they told me their libido is fine, people can't lie to me because I can read it in their pulse. But I just say, okay. So really, when you're balancing the entire body, the underlying, all the little branches of symptoms on the top will start alleviating as we balance the internal. So that's the beauty of it. And yes, I do commend people that give themselves to service, whatever kind it is. And because they have a heart that wants to help and serve. And some modalities are based, though, in disease. And I work in ones that are solution and health oriented. So I know what health looks like.
Right.
And so if you're over here, I'm going to bring you back here. But if you're trained in disease, you know what disease is and you treat that disease. And then you're on.
So one thing I like, and I apologize, again, as we were getting ready, I lost you a couple of times and you told me you didn't do anything. And this time that was my turn and I wasn't touching anything and I got lost. So it's just technology. But I'm glad I'm back again. But one thing that I think is really relevant, and it just dawned upon me, is simply this. The dynamic is interesting as it relates to traditional medicine and, say, the non-traditional. And it's almost like in the non-traditional, it's a given that the person, the patient, participates in the process, actively participates in that process. And I think that's fundamental in the changes and the transformations that people can then make into for their own healing. Whereas when it comes to traditional medicine, we're pretty much relegating all the responsibility to the doctor to do all the things that they believe is going to be right for you. And I agree with you. Medication to a point may be beneficial as a temporizing thing in, say, acute phases when it's absolutely necessary. But a active involvement in regaining that balance, either, and that was your third item, sometimes you need some help, either getting that help or also doing very, smart diagnostics. And the diagnostics just don't have to be, checking the pulse or the temperature, but we can be more sophisticated in looking at heavy metals and other things to understand, okay, where's that imbalance coming from? What are your thoughts, and how do you answer that one?
Well, I answered that one by pulse diagnosis is very elaborate. I can find blockages in the heart and exactly what lobe they're in. I can find Lyme in the pulse. I've had people diagnosed with Lyme, and it's not Lyme. It's actually an earth imbalance that symptomatically it looks like Lyme. And I didn't used to say anything to people because it's touchy. And then when I say, well, who diagnosed you? Because there's a lot of self-diagnosis. People come in and say, I have this, and they went online. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll look at that. So Paul's diagnosis is very elaborate when it's done correctly. And I've been doing this for a couple decades, and I've gotten better and better. There's a lot you can read, from pregnancy to the sex to a broken arm to divorce on the pulse. There's a lot you can read when you get really good. That being said, I have sent people to for tests, and mostly when they want to go for tests, it's for their own peace of mind and to confirm things. I say, you have this thing. Or I've had people that weren't diagnosed. I'm like, well, you have goo in Chinese medicine, which could be Lyme or other things. So we're going to treat the goo, what I see. And then they go back to their physician and they're like, well, you're asymptomatic, and or you had Lyme. How do you not have any symptoms? So I treated them. So it is elaborate. Chinese medicine is elaborate. And I will say this, not to be argumentative, but actually Chinese medicine is traditional medicine.
There you go. Yeah, no, please don't misunderstand the fact that when I use elaborate or not. As far as elaborate, I think what's helpful is that, particularly in this day and age, which is different than it was many thousands of years ago, we're just exposed to so many toxins.
Absolutely.
And I can't imagine any elaborate pulse diagnostics can elucidate some of these crazy things that are out there. But yes, you are.
I do test for heavy metals.
Excellent. I didn't know that.
Heavy metals is a big thing.
But my point is that discovering. Let's talk about the lab analysis just for a moment. Is that having the clarity as to what levels are either toxic or too low, then you can come up with a very precise plan as far as changing your lifestyle. And you and I know Tony, he had high levels of mercury and has changed his life by doing the detoxes. And that's part of it. So it's, again, a marriage between technology as well as the incredible skill sets that you have that clearly have taken years to develop. But unfortunately for many of us, there's not enough of you. So sometimes,
no, there are not.
sometimes we have to get that little extra support. But as we're wrapping it up, I think it's very relevant what you do, and that is that you're healing a person, and I'm happy to use that term because as a physician, I can say that, and I don't mind saying that because it's true, and it's using all the different modalities that we have access to, and clearly, as we take the oath, do no harm. And so this certainly is a nice way to do no harm and help people, where they are. But ultimately, it really is about the individual that needs to take, the responsibility and accountability to make the shifts. I mean, we can, do a lot of the work, but ultimately they're the ones that have to heal.
Yes. Although I will add to that, and some of my best patients have been the husbands. This is usually the typical, the husbands of the wives. They force their husband over time to come see me, and they're skeptical and they don't want to be here, and I know it, and they're not answering any questions. And when they start getting better and things start shifting that they didn't even tell me about, then they start telling me, well, this thing changed and this has gotten better, and can you give me more of that? So they actually turn out to be some of my very best advocates, my very best rah-rah cheerleaders, because they did not believe and they were resistant, but they were sick of being harassed by their wife, and then their lives change. And yes, if people are open and participate, you heal quicker. And if you're open to things that even seem wacko and you're science-based, and I say, hey, let's just do this thing, I'm gonna clear your field and just tell me how you feel. Just tell me how you feel. And people feel shifts. It's like, okay, well, you're the one saying you feel better. So just the more open-minded you can be and try things that are actually often simple. Sometimes we we've made things so elaborate and things so much stronger than us.
Right.
The outside world we've made so much stronger, disease and them and that thing more powerful and scary. And we don't give ourselves enough credit how dynamic this beautiful body is. This thing that does all these things without even us telling it or asking it to do it. And
Well,
so we just need to help it along.
Yeah, when you think about it, every single day, and this is the new statistic I heard the other day, is we're bombarded with at least 3,000 marketing messages.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have to do with health and not necessarily the right ones for us.
Yes.
But anyhow, how do people find you?
They can, word of mouth, Dr. Hasna Wood, DrHasna Wood @gmail.com. Right now, I'm joining a coaching group. So I'm not available online. So they can do that, or they can call me at 707-827-3515.
All right. Please add that on this post. And I really want to thank you for today. It's for me, it's lovely to be able to talk to someone, as educated and skilled and as talented as you are. There's so many people out there that are not at your level, and hopefully they will ascend to that level so that they can impact people as well. And it's important to be able to find someone of your skills so that we can heal. And so I look forward to continuing our conversation on this platform. You potentially also contributing in ways that you can. And my desire and wish is for people to contact you. So last words?
Last words. Take good care of yourself. Eat well, think well, breathe well, love well, serve. You want to change your health? Bless the earth and bless others. It'll change your health. It works.
I love it. It's so true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, prescription for your transformation, real people, real conversations, and real success. And delighted to know that healing doesn't have to take that long, and the body can heal itself. So, Hasna, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.